Hello and welcome to this final edition of 2023 Kornit UK Live. Today we are hosted at our customer site, another Kornit customer, GoCustom Clothing. Just like to recap a little bit before I also introduce our expert moderator today, the oracle of the textile industry, Debbie McKeegan of TEXINTEL, and also the panel. I'll let Debbie host the panel. It's been a really interesting journey this year. Of many different customers that we see, and we kind of come full circle now at GoCustom Clothing. We saw, and we've shown a light and on our capabilities of our customers and everyone we've been, but we've also discussed many different issues in the textile industry. We then showcase some of their customers as well, our customers' customers, and how they went from analog to digital. On the last episode, we actually showcased a digital native brand in sports and how you capture moments in passion real time with digital print that only digital print can do. But at GoCustom Clothing now, what you're going to see is that analog and digital live together. And how does analog and digital live together to serve the customer's demands the best that they can do and as sustainable as they can do. So before I hand over to Debbie, I'm now going to introduce you to a pre-recorded video of Angus Mitchell, the Managing Director of GoCustom Clothing, who will showcase this site and their business. Guys, roll the video, please.
Hi there, I'm Angus Mitchell, Managing Director here at GoCustom Clothing. We're a family-owned business with over 25 years of experience in the garment decorating industry. We offer a diverse range of over 4,000 different products, from aprons to jackets and bags to t-shirts, to cover all of our customers' requirements. Let's go and take a look inside the factory to see how we print and embroider our customers' designs and logos. This is the screen print room. Here, the magic of vivid colours comes to life on large batch runs, thanks to our automated and manual screen printing carousels. We have a fully modern and automated screen reclamation system to wash and prepare our systems and screens ready for the next customer. Here is our embroidery facility, where intricate designs are brought to life. Whether you have an order of 10 or 10,000, our expert embroidery operators ensure each piece is crafted to perfection. Our digital facility houses the direct-to-garment printing systems from Kornit. These machines offer quick turnaround times and require minimum setup, making them ideal for low-volume runs and for one-off production for our dropshipping customers. Digital printing excels at reproducing multicolored designs. Plus, as they use sustainable inks, it allows us to produce garments which are decorated with our customers' logos and designs to fully traceable standards. As part of our commitment to customer service, every product we create undergoes a thorough quality check before it's packaged and dispatched. We ensure each item leaving our factory meets the high GoCustom Clothing standard. We're proud of our commitment to sustainability, with processes that are certified, solar panels that partly power our factory, and a great range of sustainable products such as those from Stanley Stella. At GoCustom Clothing, we believe in blending your design with our passion to create products that are not only high quality, but also eco-friendly.
Hello, thanks so much for joining us and thank you for bearing with us with a few technical issues that we've had today. It's a joy to be here at Custom Clothing, and it's fantastic to have three amazing people working within the textile space, as I have done for all of my time as well. Thank you so much, Phil, for the intro. Okay, so let's talk about the industry. I mean, goodness me, screen printing. How does it look today? How is the industry changing?
I think screen printing, like all industries at the moment, is extremely competitive. But there are companies that are doing it successfully and profitably.
Growing?
And are growing, yes.
Yeah. I guess the behaviours of the customer, the behaviours of the market have changed so much over the last few years. We're going to dive deeper into that with Gary from Stanley Stella and also with Julian from Amaya later. But yeah, could you tell us about how you've had to adapt in this incredibly fast evolving marketplace?
Yeah, about 5 years ago, 5-6 years ago, we started to invest in an online business where we developed GoCustom Clothing. And that's had significant changes on our business, because that market brings about lots of small orders which need to be handled efficiently. So to be able to do that, we had to invest very heavily in IT and a proper CRM, where we basically went from a paper company to a paperless company at great expense. And we then also had to be able to handle those multiple orders throughout the print and embroidery facilities. That meant really that we ended up going down the digital route for digital printing, because that was, for us, the most efficient way of handling those small orders.
But you're working in a way that both technologies are complementing each other, aren't you?
Yeah, totally. When we receive an order in the office, at the sales office, at that moment in time we have to take a decision, how are we going to process that order? And that will depend on criteria such as the number of colours, the complexity of the print, also how many garments and what type of garments the customer is requiring. And at that moment, the sales office will determine which channel of production that will go through.
Yeah, it's amazing. How many thousands of garments do you have? Different hoodies, T-shirts, all sorts of things.
We offer a variety of about 4,000 garments of different styles.
Yeah.
Which is way too many, but it's what our customers want and require.
Yeah, and that takes some coordinating as well,
Totally,
doesn't it? Yeah,
totally.
when you're choosing which lane that's going to go down for production and at what speed onto which product stock,
Correct.
You can see why your CRM system is the absolute backbone of the business.
Totally, and they're all made from different fabrics as well. And obviously you can't process a jacket which is 100% polyester, the same as a T-shirt which is 100% cotton, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. This is probably a really great place to move on to talk to Stanley Stella, actually. So would it be okay if we play our video now? Okay, I hope you enjoyed the short video. We have Gary with us here from Stanley Stella, and of course everything in the print industry, whether it's printed using whichever technology needs a blank garment in the garment decoration space. So I wonder, Gary, could you give us an intro?
Yeah, of course. So I'm a brand ambassador for Stanley Stella in the UK, and it's my role is to onboard and support our official dealer network. So we partner very, very closely with garment decorators and agencies, etc., who have the same ethos and belief as us. So Stanley Stella was developed back in 2012, and the industry probably wasn't quite ready for such a sustainable, organic, premium product, but we stuck to our guns, and if you look at us today, 11 years on, we're probably considered one of the industry leaders in that segment of the market.
Okay. It's impressive, isn't it?
Thank you.
Yeah, and how many products do you offer? Thousands?
Hundreds, not thousands, but certainly hundreds. And we try our hardest to make sure that those products are traceable from seed to shirt.
Yes, and you've both been working very closely together, haven't you?
Correct.
And you're now an accredited Stanley Stella supplier, is that correct?
Yeah, and it's important for us to work with people like Gary, because the garment is such a crucial part of what we offer to our customers, which we can't control really. So if we can have him supply certified garments, then we can be confident that when it reaches us, it is still a sustainable garment.
And I think it's really important, perhaps we deep dive there into how, as process has changed, you have also become much more sustainable in your practices, evolving along with the market trends. And of course, Stanley Stella have too. So how do you support each other in that way with what has Stanley Stella been developing for the direct-to-garment place market?
So right from day one, we've chosen to be part of GOTS, which is the
Yes.
Global Organic Textile Standard. So everything is traceable. It's one of the toughest standards to meet. So our sustainability record is very, very good. However, one of the other most important aspects of our garments is the printability. How are they decorated? We sell our garments through guys like Custom Clothing who finish the process. Yeah. And that traceability obviously has to continue, and that quality has to continue. So we do hundreds and thousands of tests on fabrics, and if the fabrics don't make it, they don't end up as a garment. So what happens is by the time it gets to someone like GoCustom, you have a fully traceable, sustainable, when we're using cotton, it's always fully organic, and the printability is very, very high. And we test on all aspects of decoration. So we have a team in Brussels, where our headquarters is, and they work very closely with the likes of Kornit. They work with screen printers, we work with embroidery techniques to make sure that the best results are possible.
So important for the future.
What for the future?
You just can't, you can't take your eye off sustainable process and regulation.
It's continuous improvement, and again, that's continuous improvement in both our path to sustainability and how the garments are decorated. So we're constantly improving and trying to reduce our CO2 emissions. We're looking at finding ways of reducing microplastics. So for example, in 2024, we've got some game-changing products coming. We're moving some of our sweatshirts and hoodies to 100% organic cotton, which make things a lot easier for the decorator, of course. And we've added a few secret tweaks to our fabrics that make printability even better.
Ah, really?
Yeah, indeed.
Okay,
yeah,
okay. Yeah. And you're working very, very much with those secrets then?
I'm not
together.
So sure what secrets Gary's talking about.
So
but certainly for us, it's important that we have the garment from Stanley Stella. We can then print that digitally, and that is ensuring our customers that if they want that certification from start to finish, then they can have that for us.
That's right, and be as sustainable as possible, regardless of which technology you choose.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very, very important. Could you tell us about kind of from the screen printing perspective then maybe, how have you improved the sustainability of screen printing?
I say straight away, sustainability is a marginal gain where you're not going to achieve it from day one.
It's just one word, isn't it? But it encompasses so much in a manufacturing environment.
And we're certainly we don't consider ourselves there yet with screen printing. It's the next thing that's on our agenda. We've already invested heavily in a screen reclaiming system, and certainly means that the water which we are getting rid of wastewater is certainly clean and is certified to be so regularly. But what we would like to do now is next year our big project is to get onto water-based inks, where hopefully we can then take that a step further and also get certification for screen printed garments.
So lots in the pipeline.
A lot in the pipeline.
Those are huge commitments while you're growing and running at full speed, aren't they? Huge challenges.
It's a massive challenge, but I think that it's everything that a business today needs to face, because it's coming down the track and it's going to hit us all. And the further down that track we are, the better it will be for all of us.
Preparing for the future.
Correct.
Yeah. We touched on that, Julian, didn't we, earlier, about preparing both from all three streams, really, isn't it? The manufacturer, the supplier, and the technology, really preparing for the future. Would you like to add something in there?
Yeah, well, briefly introducing myself. Amaya specialise in the supply of garment decoration equipment, and I've had the pleasure of working alongside Angus and his team at GoCustom for probably 8 years now, there or thereabouts. And I think, you mentioned it a moment ago, it's that adaptability, it's that flexibility that businesses need now. It's always consumer-led. Buying habits have changed, and there's certain associations around sustainability that are more relevant now for the consumer. And we were all going around the factory earlier today, and I think one of the things that stood out to me as a business, these guys, they're solution-based. And it's almost like you're relentless in that pursuit of a solution. Doesn't matter what it is. If the customer's demanding it, they will find a way through it. And what I take very seriously about my partnership with these guys is that I've got to, make sure that I'm aware of what's happening out there, what's changing. Are we supplying the right equipment that can meet those needs? But it's so exciting to see what's changing.
It is, and to plan for that future, really, to make sure that everyone's got that.
And as Julian's right, at the end of the day, we are led by the demand from the market, from our customers.
Yeah, yeah. And those adapted to those changing channels as well. You know, you're saying that you invested so much and continue to invest in e-commerce. Huge growth sector for you.
Correct, correct.
Yeah. And which other areas of the market demand investment? Where else are you seeing growth at the moment?
Well, we as a company, we also work in the retail tourist attraction market, and obviously post-COVID and during COVID, that's been a very buoyant market, and we continue to see growth in that market, and where we can also apply new technologies, because obviously they're dealing in the retail market. They want latest products, latest designs, innovations, and we'd like to be in a position to be able to serve that to them.
And it's important that all of those products then fit into their corporate social responsibility statements and sustainability regulations and everything.
Correct. If you've got a museum,
it's incremental all the way down, isn't it?
You want to be able to offer a sustainable garment with all the right certification and everything.
Yeah. I mean, you're a family business, 27 years. You've adapted a lot during that time.
And we now have the second generation, which are firmly involved in the business. So hopefully the business has got another 27 years at least.
I'm sure. So if you kind of had to kind of simplify how those orders go through, we would put some numbers on it really. We were talking of like an order of 1, an order of 100, an order of thousands. How do you stream those through the lanes, the workflow? Have you had to automate your workflow in your various departments to make sure that it backs up the CRM system, I suppose?
We try to automate it as much as possible, and I see that in the future is where we're going to have to keep investing as a company to make that as efficient and lean as possible. But basically, if it's one t-shirt, if it's one garment, then we will have to analyse and see whether that's going to go. Ideally, if it's 100% cotton, it would go on the digital printer. If it is polyester, we might have to put it through the digital DTF or even a screen top. We would avoid it for a single black.
Stanley, Stella have had to do exactly the same. You know, I think post-pandemic, the interest in sustainability, your business has been developing and working with it for a very, very long time, but it's new in the frame for everybody. Suddenly everybody wants to be green. It's so important
yes, it is.
that it has the authority and the transparency.
Yes, and I think you've got a new generation of buyer coming. I'm sure Angus is noticing this now, where they're very interested in provenance. Yes. They like to hear a story behind a brand. People buy with their hearts, ultimately. And, you know, we talk about processes and different techniques, but people buy through their hearts, and they want to know what they're buying into. And as we see that generation come up, things are beginning to change. And one of the aspects of being an official dealer with Stanley Stella is that we ask these guys to follow us on our organic story.
Yes.
So very, very proud to have these guys on board, and they've just passed their GOTS certification, as we have. So that traceability now is through the partnership. They're not just relying on us to do the work, our partners are doing the work too. So we're trying to make a difference. We're trying to change, we're trying to move this big oil tanker of an industry.
Yeah, it's a juggernaut.
You know, pardon the pun.
There's a big curve.
But yeah, we're trying to change that direction and change the habits of the end user, ultimately.
Yeah, I think we do have to change the habits of the end user.
And part of that with the digital connection is that we don't have to print in bulk all the time. We can choose one product. We don't have to stock far too many. We don't have to waste ink. We don't have to waste energy.
Absolutely,
which is really
on
important.
demand.
Really. On demand, which is another thing that's changed the whole landscape of the industry.
Yeah. But how much fun is it that it's opened up so many markets, so many new marketplaces for you and the business, so it could just keep growing into different lanes?
When our website, GoCustom Clothing, has opened us up basically to the world. And all the sectors are out there, and in some ways it's a challenge because it is so open, and it's difficult to segment and choose which channel you want to focus on.
But your business is built for evolution. You're constantly changing and adapting all of the time. You know, we had the joy of having a factory tour, didn't we, this morning, and it was so insightful and it's so good to see, you know, where you are now, where you were, and where you plan to be, just, you know, in the next short term and just in the next few years, really, by investing in those key technologies that perhaps Julian, you could tell us a little bit more about that too, because you will have seen too the amount of innovation that's gone on within the industry for inks and different technologies.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm very fortunate. I work with some partners, suppliers that are looking ahead. They are seeing the market shifts and the trends and adapting their technology to be able to fulfill on the demands of the consumer. When you can, you know, like you say, we were on a tour earlier, it's that transition that's really interesting at the moment. From, you know, historically screen print has been the predominant method of printing apparel. With digital, it had to cover a lot of ground, you know, and with Kornit, for example, you know, their systems now are capable of hitting such a high quality on a short run basis if need be. But then we also reference kind of skill set and something that I'm sure, you know, Angus will concur with. In your business, screen printing is an art form. It's a skill, and the kind of ramp up time for a new operator, would you say probably 6 months, maybe longer?
Absolute minimum. Yeah.
And of course, that's fine if the industry, you know, demands that. But actually, what we're seeing is this transition across now to a more. We live in an on-demand world. We all know that. But it's also finding that balance on on-demand, because there's certain companies out there, let's say, that are on demand. We get parcels overnight if we need to, or same day, and that has certain negative connotations around a sustainable and ethical approach to it. What we've managed to make here with this is a sustainable approach to on-demand, so that we can create one-offs. We're reducing stock inventory, all those different things, and enabling that in a very sustainable method. So it's interesting, as I say, seeing that transition and how it's moving across. But price point is still a factor, and I'm sure that's something Angus, you know, still has to battle with when making those decisions.
Throughout the textile industry, it's exactly the same thing, isn't it? Really, it's the economies of scale, but then it's also total cost of ownership as well, isn't it? And
That's right. We might have customers, particularly let's say historic customers, where they might be used to ordering 200, 300, 400. They've realised now, perhaps, with our digital plant, that we can offer them perhaps 100 at a competitive price. They don't need to take so much stock on, and it gets back to the same old arguments for going digital, where you're becoming more efficient, less risk, and you can see what sells, what size sell, and everything like that, and get fulfilment of your orders much quicker.
But you also stay very close to your customers, don't you?
For us, we think that the whole business is founded on customer service, and the future as well. We must offer customer service. That is the whole ethos of the company.
Yeah, but you're offering real customer service. You know, some people kind of think staying in front of the customer is to bombard them with emails and everything else all at the same time, really. But you're not. You know, we were chatting earlier this morning that there had been a couple of delivery problems, but your team jump on the phone. Don't send an email and say, "So sorry, it's going to be tomorrow." It's, you know, you really are reactive, protecting those relationships and supporting your consumers.
It's not the first order that's the important one for the customer. For us, it's the second, third and fourth one. We want a customer to be with us long term. We want them then to go and tell, with word of mouth, they're spreading the message. Hold on, these guys are serious, you should work with them.
Yeah.
And that's crucial for us. And probably we've invested more people in our sales team to offer that service than perhaps other companies have. We could be leaner, but we don't want to be, because that would mean that our customer service levels would drop.
That's an important point, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
You've just got to make sure you get that balance, really. Correct. You don't take it too close to the bone. Definitely. It's probably a good time to bring you in again, Julian, as well, to talk about how those different technologies are supporting the customers for staying in touch, what am I trying to say? Staying really close to technology at the right point for them to enter into new markets.
Well, to achieve that, the manufacturers have got to, like you say, stay close to their customers, to really understand the demands that are being placed on you on a daily basis, and to be able to continue to develop technology that solves that problem. And that's, again, I've said it before, I'm fortunate that I work with partners that are constantly looking at what's happening out there, getting good, solid feedback from the customers, from the client base themselves, on improvements and changes that can mitigate those challenges. So yeah, it's vital. It's vital. You said it there. You stay close to your customers. That's what this is. You know, this partnerships, and we were talking earlier today. It's the collaborations to achieve what is being demanded of us. We've got to be communicating, and we've got to be sharing those challenges and to enable. But because it was interesting today when we were looking around and thinking, does the customer ever really appreciate what goes off?
No.
because they place their
They don't
order,
need to.
and then the product comes through.
You
the
mean
post.
the end consumer?
Absolutely.
When they open their beautiful box, and the product meets all their expectations, they don't need to know what goes on in the back
the
office.
hoops that these guys jump through to achieve what they've promised and deliver on those promises is unnoticed more often than not, and probably not appreciated to the lengths.
I don't think it is. We touched on that before, didn't we? The passion that goes into manufacturing and the teamwork that goes into it, really, from every single point, every touch point, really, to get that product out of the door and perfect quality, printed first time, every time. Let's be sustainable and meet everybody's goals and objectives, really.
That's really why we have our logo, your design is our passion, because that's
I
what we
didn't.
try.
Oh, right, okay. That's a coincidence. Okay. It is. It's so interesting, and I guess you must do the same with Stanley and Stella. It's like
absolutely. I mean, it's about working closer with our partners. It's exactly the same, and
because you must have had your partners in the past would have taken more stock from you, I guess, but in an on-demand world. Do you find that some of your customers are not taking as much stock in, they're calling on demand more?
It depends on the style of the business, and even within the microcosm of GoCustom, you've already touched on the fact that there are many different flows of business here. Sometimes volume is still key, and we're very proud to have huge stocks available for customers. The difference is that when you start to work in the digital arena and the print on demand, that stock doesn't have to be held here.
Yes.
That stock doesn't have to be held by a brand or an organisation. So it makes everything a little bit slicker. And something we're doing in the future to get even closer to our partners is we're opening our own UK office in Birmingham.
Okay.
At the end of Q1 next year, possibly. We have a UK warehouse now. So that enables people like Angus to work closer with us.
Yes.
So he can then in turn work closer with his customers. It's confidence.
Yeah, and also I guess sharing your strategies for the next 12 months, 18 months as well, so you can align your goals and your new products moving forward.
Yeah, correct. It has to be a partnership.
Yeah.
I think what Julian was alluding to, it has to be a partnership. I think with nearly all the suppliers these days.
Yeah, most definitely. Julian, we touched on kind of earlier, just when is the right time for people to deep dive into technologies? How do Amaya work to advise their customers and help with their business plans and their goals and their objectives?
Yeah, it's quite an interesting question, because we get customers that are sometimes not quite ready to make the move.
Yeah.
And so our job is to really understand where they are currently, again, the demands that are being placed on them and the sort of order quantities that are coming through. Investing in certain technology is not for everybody, and the wrong investment can obviously have a negative effect. So as a business, we spend a lot of time trying to, understanding the potential customer, discovering exactly what their needs are, and then try and make sure that we've got a fit, because every relationship has to be win-win. That's what breeds longevity. And so we really have to be careful that we fully understand what their needs are so that we can guide them in the right direction. It's something as a business I'm really proud of how we handle that, because it's something we spend a lot of time looking at. And it's crucial. When you get an opportunity of working with a company like GoCustom, you realise that their mindset and their kind of approach kind of mirrors yours, in their ambition to provide a service that is just next level. And I just think that makes life a lot easier, because we're all trying to row in the same direction. So
building trust throughout with all your stakeholders, really.
Being available whenever you need it as well.
Yeah, 24/7 in manufacturing, though, isn't it? That's kind of the truth of it.
I think that was one of the most
interesting
things about the conversations we were having this morning when Angus gave us the tour.
Yeah.
Is when we start to chat.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. We're all aiming in the right direction.
We're all in the same lane.
Yeah. We've all got different ways of getting there, but ultimately, when it gets to the end user, we've all done our bit.
Yeah.
We've all done our bit to give them something beautiful and sustainable, and smart, really. And it's that's really
exceeds their expectations.
Exactly.
Well, democratising and disrupting the entire sector with direct-to-garment technologies, is fantastic. You just see how your fulfilment side of things helps the creative to build their own businesses.
Totally.
It's brilliant at all different levels, whether they're huge businesses or small ones. You're working in all of those different, I keep saying lanes, but you're working in all of those objectives, aren't you? Which is fantastic. It's great. Okay, I think, as usual, we're kind of starting to run over a little bit on time, so it'd be really great. Thank you, gentlemen, so much. I think perhaps do we have time to turn over for questions now?
Yes, we've got a few questions from,
Okay,
from
thank
the
you.
audience,
Okay.
which I really appreciate considering the technical difficulties. There's quite a few questions coming in, which is good news. So, Debbie, I'm going to throw a couple of questions at you for your panel.
Okay, thank you.
Or one of them, and see how we go. And then there's a few questions also specifically for Julian and Angus. What are the training requirements for staff handling digital textile printing technology in comparison to screen printing?
Oh, that's a good one for you.
Well, perhaps Julian can help me answer this as
Yeah.
well, but I would say there's significantly less. As we said earlier on, I think screen printing is really almost an art form, where it's not just the actual printer itself. You've got to get the artwork separated, you've got to have the screen, you've got to have the everything. It just goes from, it's a long process to get a well screen printed t-shirt. Digital printing, there is certainly skill in it, but you are much more led by the actual system itself.
Technology.
Correct. And I know that there are some businesses out there who will put people on a digital machine after literally 2 or 3 days training. So if you have people who can set the machine up properly, I think it's easy to run.
Yeah. It's important to remember, though, isn't it, that not all technologies are equal and not all materials are equal. You know, the partnership and the detail that goes into those digital platforms is incredible.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. Any more?
Next question. Do you find that more customers are specifically asking you if you print sustainably now? And also to all the group, where do you think this change has come from in comparison to, say, 5 to 10 years ago?
Well, I think I touched
take
on
that
that
one?
earlier. I think
Yeah.
you've got a generational change. I think you've got much more awareness in the general public as a whole. You know, it wasn't that long ago that you could buy T-shirts for less than £1, and a week after the event you were washing your car with it. That's not where things are going now. People want things to last. It's about circularity.
Yes.
You know, a circular economy is the way forward. And if you can keep products in that circularity and not drop out, we're all doing our bit.
Yeah.
To save the planet, really, and look after its inhabitants.
Yeah, I agree with you. And kind of starting to design in a circular format right from the very beginning as well. It's really important. We touched on this earlier this morning as well, didn't we? Really looking at a product from the design point of view. So you bring everything together so you know what's going to happen to it at the end. That is going to be a big part of the future for transparency and certification moving forward as well.
We obviously, compared to 4, 5, 6 years ago, we get a massive number of customers now who are interested in sustainable products.
Yeah.
As you can see, just a few years ago, there were few brands of garments who were offering sustainable products. Now, I think nearly all the major brands who we're buying from are offering sustainable products, and it's becoming the majority of their.
Yeah, it's not a trend.
No,
it's no longer
it's
a
here
trend.
to stay.
Yeah, it is definitely. It's the new normal.
Correct.
Yeah.
Next question is for Julian. It's not a loaded question, considering where we are now. So it says, as a company that supplies a wide range of machines and brands with lots of different techniques, which area do you think is the most exciting and showing the most potential growth in the future?
That is a difficult one to answer, because I think in each aspect there are pockets of development and innovation that are exciting. You know, we've seen it in embroidery, we've seen it in print. I think what the right manufacturers are doing now is they're all up in their game. They're realising that actually to keep the customer interested and the consumers interested, they've got to develop new ideas, new ways of doing things. Some of them are from an effect perspective, and some of them are from an efficiency gain for the manufacturers and fulfillers, like we were talking about earlier with regards to embroidery. So it's across the board. It's an exciting industry to be in general. I don't know if that really answered the question, but
it's diversity, isn't it?
It is.
You know, we were looking on the shop floor earlier. You have so many different ways of doing different things.
Right.
And in each one can push the boundaries of new markets.
Definitely.
And bring new revenue for everybody that's concerned.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
We've got time for one last question. An interesting one, quite provocative one for Angus.
Oh.
How do you think the quality of the Max printers compares to screen print, and do you have any feedback from customers on which they do prefer? And I won't say who that's from, he knows who he is. I'll speak to him. It's actually another customer of ours.
I'd say that we believe here the Atlas Max actually was a game changer as far as digital printing is concerned. Up until the introduction of that, we found it challenging, digital printing, because it depended so much on each individual substrate that you were printing on. The Atlas Max now gives us total confidence that we'll produce, I think, an outstanding print on almost any fabric, particularly if it's got maximum 50% polyester. Screen print can be also extremely good. It's very difficult to differentiate between one and the other in terms of quality. There are people out there who can produce screen prints which are mind-blowing. There really are.
Well, they empower each other, don't they? By having that in your business.
They really
By having all of that in the loop, you can choose the right thing for the right product.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, well, I think we're almost out of time. I think so. Thank you everybody who hung on in there and waited for us to start. We did have a few technical issues today. This is the last of the current series. Please, keep an eye out for what's coming for 2024. It's been a pleasure and an honour for me to host this session, and thank you so much. You've given so much of your time today, all of you, from a manufacturing environment, and I know how valuable that is. So yes,
Thank you.
Angus, thank you, Gary and Julian, thank you so much, and thank you to everybody else for tuning into. Time is valuable and we really do appreciate it. Thank you.